the rumbles, of course, are going around. I dropped a video on Sunday because I've been hearing over a couple of days about Shedeur. We'll start with him and work our way through some of the stars there. And so with the Shedeur piece, there was the confidence was there, right? You see him at the presser. He reminding everybody, hey man, I do this. This is what I do. Legendary is my moniker. That's what I go with, blah, blah, blah. And what was kind of the feeling and vibe you felt when, around Shedeur, especially the fact that he didn't participate, but he was always around with his teammates. What was the vibe like with that?
Leader and his daddy. Almost like the confidence, the swagger of his father at a quarterback position is something that a team is going to look at and say, man, we knew who Deion Sanders was. We knew how you game plan, but Deion Sanders made the people around him better as well. He raised the level of play, not just because of what he did on the field, but what he did off the field, how he prepared, how early he was for practice, how early he was for film sessions, how much film he watched on his own. Knowing that you're going to get that type of pedigree from a quarterback, it absolutely makes a team think like, you know what, this is the type of guy that we want leading our franchise into the next phase of the legacy of that franchise. So Shedeur did nothing but help himself. The confidence is there, and he's going to back it up. The consensus is that pro day, when you're a top quarterback, you usually don't throw. Now,
yeah,
the quarterbacks who did throw, I don't think anybody went out there and just like lit it up to the point where it's like, oh no, like, nah, you'd be a fool, like, and don't miss. And that's basically what it let you know. He's like, look, if you can get over the name on the back of my jersey, if you don't like me, if you can get over that name and just look at my body of work, but then you got to think about it. That name holds weight as well. So there are some people who may not like who Deion Sanders was and how he kicked it himself, but you can never take away from what he did and how he did it. So knowing that that's the pedigree that you're getting, this ain't just one of Prime's players. This is the actual child. He developed. So absolutely, and I think teams, even the teams where you get the rumblings of, oh well, they want to know how he's going to do without his dad. I'm like, oh, he is his dad. Like he may not be as flashy, but yeah, you can see that same confidence running through his veins and in his eyes. And I think he did a great job of representing himself and his family well at the combine.
I can see that. It's funny because the video I dropped talking about earlier this week I dropped one about people thinking that Shedeur may be dropping in the draft. Then another one, Chris Carter, NFL Hall of Famer. Make sure I check that out on the channel. He told a pretty insane story about Shedeur. And what jumped out to me on it, though, Dukes, and it was basically what you said a minute ago, is that he's known for coming in early, watching a ton of film. He's always working, and he's always like turned on the professionalism side of it. And what Chris Carter's story basically was, he got in the car that his driver that takes Shedeur around. His driver took Chris Carter around, and nobody knew this. Like, Shedeur didn't know this was going to happen or anything. But whenever Chris Carter was talking to the driver was like, he's like, man, Shedeur's always early. He's pushing his brothers to make sure they're early and at least on time. The way he prepares his clothing, it's a meticulous piece of true professionalism and leadership. And Chris is like, hey, man, I don't see him ever having a problem going to an NFL franchise and being the face, because just as you said, and Shedeur even said it himself, Pops has been him, who he is, and I've been around that my whole life. I understand how to play the game, for lack of better terms. He gets that, and it showed. It showed in his confidence and, I guess, his quote-unquote swagger when he was up there talking to folks like, why do I be scared of criticism? Why would I be scared of criticism? Yeah, I pretend like I haven't listened to this stuff my entire life, which is kind of wild if you really think about it.
Yeah, he was born for the moment. I see a lot of that in Julian Lewis as well. When you have people that have seen that light from a young age and they've lived under it, why would those lights scare you now? Why would 80,000 people scare you now? You've had people watching your every step a lot of times since you've had a football in your hands. Like, even when Shedeur wasn't as ranked as highly, no one got the type of media coverage that Shedeur did as a 4-star quarterback. Even when he came, look at all the guys who were ranked in front of him. None of them had Shedeur's cachet of media spotlight. So when you think about what Sheduer has come from and who he is and why he acts the way he does, the way he carries himself, it's because he was born for the moment, and he was and literally he was born into it. So of course it's second nature for him to perform when the lights are the brightest.
And that's exactly what you would expect. And I love him talking about the culture change. I think that's probably a conversation that a lot of people don't recognize that's just as critical. Colin Cowherd said that not too long ago. He mentioned that what he feels like helps Shedeur the most, truly, and this is me paraphrasing, that he didn't play at a school with a whole bunch of five-star talent. We'll just say, for lack of better terms. Not that the players he played with were bad, just it wasn't a loaded squad like those Alabama teams we've seen and them Georgia teams. He played with guys he had to build up with himself. Like he built himself up, he would build them up, and they played good ball. They just weren't undefeated. And so it was one of those where Shedeur understands that there's going to be challenges around in getting a wide receiver up to speed, a running back to block and not miss a block, or offensive line to shift their protection properly. And because of that, that kind of equips him a lot better for the NFL, because once you get up there with the top 1% of the 1%, and those dudes, they struggle against each other just because talent is talent, you're not going to have wide open dudes to throw to all the time. You're going to have to throw guys open. And he saw that in Shedeur, being able to do that. But the culture piece was even more important, just as you said. He comes in with the leadership mentality. I mean, Prime was like that too. Like, if there's one thing you could say about Coach Prime in his playing days, is that you can never say that he was lazy. Right? You could never say that. You could never say that Deion Sanders didn't give you effort. The way it looked like it was a little effort, but the way Deion Sanders played ball was, I'm going to shut down this side of the field, and I want you to be stupid enough to throw it at me. Go ahead. And teams recognize that's how you had to do it on the island. That's why he was considered one of the best to ever play the position, like Chad Bailey. And even Darrelle Revis, as he grew into his game, he was up there. Rod Woodson. You didn't throw their side of the field because you didn't know where they were at. Even if they're chasing a receiver up the field, dude could press and run right back. Which leads to another topic. We're talking to our guy Dukes, the Scoops, here on the channel. Dukes, we appreciate you pulling up, and let the people know where they can find you.
Man, social media at Dukes D Scoop, DUKESTHESCOOP. On YouTube, Dukes D Scoop. Just search my channel, man. Find the Scoop with Dukes. Hey, Scoop and Dukes, find it, man. You'll find my content, man. I've got some Colorado content, some Auburn content. I go live. We just kick it barbershop talk on Monday nights. So yeah, man, come by, kick it, come remember, whatever. Hey, just come over. I appreciate it.
Come hang out with the man. We appreciate you joining the channel. Hey, hit that like, subscribe button. All his links are in the description below to not only the social media stuff as well as the channel. And yeah, we'll bring Dukes back on again in the near future. Chop it up soon.